Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We have an amazing episode planned for you tonight. Here, for your viewing pleasure, is episode 113, Dashing into Nova Prep. This week, the crew's going to take a look at all the new points for the YT-2400 and the TIE Bombers. It's going to be very interesting to see what the bombers and all of that fun jazz have in store for us. With that being said, we will also be going over Nova Prep. So if you're going to Nova or any other store championship, it can apply. You will be able to look at the top lists in the meta that have done well or just showing up, one of the two. If that wasn't enough, we also are doing our store champ pattern analyzer segment, as well as reintroducing our roll call segment about underutilized pilots. Joining me tonight on the microphone is JJ, damn it, I forgot to order his Lions hat again. Gridiron. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. So I want to give a quick shout out to Chris, Pete, and Sam over at yet another X-Wing podcast. Thank you guys for having me on the podcast this week. It was a blast being on there with you guys. And if you guys haven't checked them out, they're an awesome podcast show. You guys can listen to them. They tend to put out content weekly, and check them out on their Spotify podcast or on Podbean, and check it out.
I don't think it's Podbean, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll have a link in the description. How about that?
Yeah.
That'll just be easier. Also joining us from the east side of the state, Alex, I got my Sir Championship playing Scum. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. I was going to go see a double feature today of Spaceballs and Roadhouse, but Spaceballs got sold out, so I just saw Roadhouse.
Oh.
And I forgot how poorly paced of a movie that is.
It is very poorly paced, my friend.
But it's still awesome. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Sam Elliott's voice.
Yeah. Sad you didn't get to see Spaceballs. I've never seen Spaceballs in the theater. I've only seen, it at home, obviously. I was a wee bit too young when it came out.
Still a classic. I love it.
Yes. Will the Schwartz be with you? There you go. That's what we need. We need somebody to make some alternate identifier cards for Spaceballs in X-Wing. That's what we need. We need to have a Spaceballs tournament. That's all right.
Yes.
All right. This is what we're gonna do next week. Why don't we talk about that next week? That sounds like fun. We could do like a little tournament or something like that.
Space Christmas balls throwdown, and
I gotta say, I don't know where I got it from, but I actually have cards for Lord Helmets and Lone Star as pilots for X-Wing.
Yeah, I got a Darth helmet, but that's a crew one. Don't know. I don't remember where I got it from.
Well, we will have to. That's what we'll have to do. We're gonna have to put some thought into this. Not next week, but we'll put some thought into it. Maybe we should do like an online tournament or something like that. Maybe we get Nick or Greg to stream, one of the two, and do like a little Spaceballs tournament for everyone.
If I can get an alt art model of Winnebago to fly as a Millennium Falcon, that would be absolutely awesome.
I think somebody has one of those. Doesn't Marcel have that?
Yeah, I think so. Possibly,
I think it's Marcel. Marcel bought one or 3D printed one. So,
it does sort of look like a Razor Crest now.
It does actually, but he used it as a 66666. That's what he used it for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, YV. Yeah.
He had that at Gen Con 2 years ago.
That's great.
All right. That was back when you could run whatever you wanted for fun if you already had your World's Invite from 3 years ago. All right. Well, hopefully everyone had an amazing weekend. We have not a ton of announcements, but there's a few announcements. We will be starting Nickel City League coverage next week. So hopefully you all can, tune in for that. Since the three of us are all on the same team, Alex will be running Lebo every single time.
Yeah,
Maybe he's going to
right.
run Lebo and Dash
No, you guys shoved me in Republic.
Oh, that's right. Who has Rebel? Oh, all right. We gotta get Flying Mighty. That's who we're gonna get. We're gonna get Flying Mighty to fly us some Lebo and Dash. Anyway, so let's jump into our first roll call segment of today. Here we have some crazy ship card. I didn't know what this one was, but somebody thought it would be a good idea to cover a beta plating. So for this roll call series, we are looking at underutilized cards, whether they are pilots or upgrades, something that could be beneficial to the current meta. So tonight we are going to cover ablative plating, which I don't know. So I got a question. Is there a reason they called it a beta plating instead of a beta plating armor? Because I think that's what they call it in Legends, isn't it?
Like ablative armor. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
So I don't remember ever hearing a beta plating in the books or anything like that, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it still works for the same purposes there. Yeah,
I mean, just it's an actual like technology thing, like armor through ablation. So it's kind of a generic term. It's just mostly used in sci-fi things.
Yeah,
gotcha. Well, Alex, what does ablative plating do for us?
You know, I put this in my list, so it was actually cool that we get to talk about it. It's a modification. It costs 4 points right now. Medium or large base ship. It's got 2 non-recurring charges. Before you would suffer damage from an obstacle or a friendly bomb detonating, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, prevent 1 damage.
It's amazing. So that's essentially it is. If you want to go through an obstacle, it's like saves you 1 free damage every time.
Yep, it's actually really good for like debris because the most damage you can take from debris is 1.
Yeah.
But also, if you have a lot of bombs in your list, like I've seen these on like fire sprays and stuff that brought like Emon, and if you have a lot of friendly bombs, you can just take it.
Well, back in the day when Django had a million loadout. I used to run Django Zam both with a beta plating for a little while, because then I never had to worry about if you blocked me and I dropped a proton bomb on myself. I didn't have to worry about it.
Which happens a lot, by the way, if you fly like decimators.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Do people put a beta plating on decimators?
No, but they still eat their own proton bombs.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So you're telling us it's a good card if you're running a decimator with bombs.
If you can somehow figure out 4 points to shove that into, like rack or something, and you don't want baffle, that's an option. I think there's better things to take than a bomb and ablative. Same price as a force user.
Yeah, definitely, especially, and the reason why I wanted to actually bring up this particular upgrade is that, we've had the release now of Dash with the new YT2400 pack that came out there. And, there's still a lot of people who are trying to figure out different loadouts and different things to equip Dash or Lebo to really take advantage of their abilities there, specifically Rebel Dash that gets his ability for ignoring obstacles that he's overlapped during the engagement phase. And this particular upgrade really helps out Dash to essentially cancel out damage from obstacles that he will overlap, like either debris clouds or for asteroids overlaps where you could potentially suffer 1 or 2 damage. Bladed plating is really, really good to put on Dash to help him out with that. Now, typically you would probably want to run Dash with gas clouds, but eventually, if your opponent brings rocks or debris clouds, ablative plating is going to be very handy for Dash to make sure that he doesn't take that extra damage from going over the obstacle and keep him alive longer for the game.
So, how this is worded, do you think it would stop both damage from an asteroid?
No, you would just stop 1 damage. So
okay.
it would be the automatic damage that you would suffer from the rock, and then you would roll. And at that point, you would either suffer or miss depending on what you rolled.
So is that in the FAQ? Because I actually wonder the same thing too. Because technically, it just says when you would suffer damage, and does the does the automatic and other damage enter the queue separately? Is that why it would only cover the one, or is it gonna? Because to me, it kind of says you're gonna suffer damage. You suffer them both at the same time, from my understanding, just one in order. So where would
You
this
take
fall
the
into the
automatic
queue?
one, right? And then you'd have to roll. So wouldn't they be like two separate instances?
But it's all
That's a
one
good point.
instance in the queue, and the question
Right.
becomes is when you would order it.
That's a good question. I'll have to actually bring that up there. My understanding is that the effects of the obstacle are one instance altogether, like similar to how Iden works with like proximity mines. That's how I understand it, but I could be wrong.
So that, in that case, then it would stop both of them, correct?
Yes.
What isn't damage like suffered individually? That's why Tavson can trigger his ability twice when he takes damage.
Yeah, but that's during an attack. It might be a little different when it comes to obstacle effects.
I mean, if he was taking like a bomb and he took 2 damage off the bomb, you wouldn't give him 2 actions from that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I don't know.
point. Good
I
point.
don't know. Someone should probably figure that out, eh?
Yeah. Where's our rules lawyers? Dang it.
Isn't that what you are, JJ? You are.
No, I do not claim to be a rules lawyer. No, I just happen to know a lot of the rules.
Yeah, I'm just curious if they would, because like, if Iden hits like a rock, doesn't she be able to take off both damage though with her ability? But also Iden's ability makes no sense because they're just like, yeah, just do whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I guess if this is not something that's in there in the FAQ or something like that, maybe we should look
Yeah, I
it
don't
up.
see it in the FAQ at all. So
Okay, well then there you go.
don't know.
Yeah, because I don't see it in their rules questions either.
But like, this is also the first time that would come up, right? Because in 2.0, it's not like you could take 2 damage off an obstacle. So don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, so a mine is different than a bomb.
Mhm.
A blade of plating does not work with mines.
No.
Correct.
So I don't know. I think the way we played it before, to be perfectly honest with you, is if you go through an obstacle, you can spend 2 charges to not take damage. So that's how we did that before.
Yeah, I
But-
think that makes sense.
What else would you guys? What else you want to talk about for a bladed plating? So it's good when you have bombs. What else is it good with?
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying to bring a list that really wants to take advantage, or a particular ship rather, that really wants to take advantage with obstacles and going through them without suffering the effects of that, at least for 1 or 2 times. Definitely consider using bladed plating to help keep your ship from taking that unnecessary damage from going over the rocks. And if you have a list that has a lot of friendly bombs and you're going into a scrum, where you're planning to try to drop bombs and then fly away, and that roll just goes against you, and you end up getting blocked into your own bombs. Bladed plating definitely is a really good tool to help you mitigate that damage, to make sure that your ships live at least a little bit longer.
And is there anything you would pair with a bladed plating automatically? Is there any other upgrade, anything else that you think would be like, hey, if I'm going to run a bladed plating, I want to run, like, let's say novice tech, for example.
Well, for me, I think if I'm going to go into, if I'm using bladed plating specifically to ignore obstacles, specifically in the dash example, trick shot is definitely something I would definitely consider putting into my list. So that way it gives me that option to go through an obstacle and angle it in a way where I know that I'm going to put that obstacle between myself and my opponent, and that way I can make sure I can take full advantage of going that way. Typically, your opponent doesn't have the best agency to block you onto an obstacle without endangering themselves to going over the same obstacle, unless they have a really good reposition type ship. So that's definitely an option for you if you're looking to do that. Something similar that we've seen at least in Scum is with Kira Crew being able to target lock rocks and then ignoring them and flying past them to essentially open up a lane for your ship to go through, so that way your opponents have a harder time chasing you. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything specifically you pair up a blade of plating for. It's just look at your list, and if you got a lot of bombs and you're a medium or large base, consider a blade of plating or customizable dash. I think that might be pretty strong just to put it on there. I think that works perfectly with this ability.
Yeah, because before with dash, it was always kind of like you didn't take damage. Now you do, so
You didn't take damage and you remove a red token. It was more disrespectful. No
Yeah.
more asteroid pinball.
Oh, thank God for that, right?
Banned.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that will conclude our roll call segment, where JJ really needs to roll better. But anyway, so that I think we might continue that. Maybe not every week, but every other week. I do know, like, I think that's kind of a fun segment to do. So if you have something you want to submit that you want us to review, or something you go, hey, Chris, this is an amazing upgrade, tag me or JJ in the Discord on Planning Phase Syndicate, and we'll add it to the list of ones that we'll cover. Maybe we'll even throw a few lists together. I don't know. This week is very list heavy, so I did not want to put a bunch of a blade of plating lists together. Because I just thought it'd be overkill. What's that, Alex?
It's in my list, so at least there's one list with it in there.
There you go. So, well, all right. Well, what should we do next, fellas? Do you want to do points next? Do you want to do store champ stuff? What do you want to do next?
I think we should take a look at the points. It's be a nice little segue from where we're at.
All right. Well, points got updated. So the first note, we're not going to put it on the screen, but the first note is Mace got CLT back. So there you go. I didn't verify that JJ and Alex are correct. I just trust them that they're correct. So I did not go looking for it. But officially, Mace can now run CLT again, whereas before they didn't have the extra modification slot on there for him.
Yes, it's great to have an actual possible use for Mace now in the Delta 7 that can actually use CLT. Because before, I mean, what the heck are you putting Mace for if you can't use that? Like, yeah.
Nobody is. I used to use Mace all the time before they messed up the points, and I still think they could have just done a quick errata to that, right? Like, it seems simple to just have given it back to us, but
yeah, agreed.
Well, they did that for a couple other things too, right? But I don't know. IG-11 is still listed as a gunner slot. I think that's funny. They didn't fix everything that they were supposed
to. Oh, that's hilarious. So that was the 1 point. I looked at the rules real quick. I didn't see any big like update in the rules. Did you? There was nothing in the FAQ, anything in blue that wasn't in blue before.
No, nothing new for the updates in the rules, and there's nothing really for the updates in like the ban list or the restricted list as well. There was an errata for the Outrider title, which we'll cover here in a bit. Basically, changing the entire functionality of the old Outrider title that was part of the YT 2400. It's been reworded to essentially give it a passive juke-like ability for the YT 2400, and of course, only one YT can run it. So, yeah.
All right, well, let's start with bombers. I think that's going to be the big discussion point here. So we got points for all of, and I wish they would put the little prefixes after them, because I'm guessing, so what do we want to call the Deathfire from the TIE Bomber pack? Do we just call it the TBE, the Teebs?
Yeah.
The Tebs?
I mean, I would just say it's like there's, I don't know, normal standard loadout, and then the starter pack would just be the SSP, like it's been with other things. I don't know. Too many acronyms.
I feel like we should call it the TED. The TED, we're going to call them Deathfire Teds. I don't know why, but TED seems like a good acronym for it.
So I think it's worth mentioning what these ships can do right now that they've been released, and then also compare them with their points to see like what kind of value you're getting out for these ships here. So the TBE Deathfire that came out, the standard loadout version of it, says after you fully execute a speed 3 to 5 maneuver, if you have not dropped or launched a device this round, you may spend 2 charges, they're recurring charges on the card, and to drop or launch a bomb using a 3 straight template. So he does come equipped with proton bombs and counter nets, as well as swift approach, which we'll cover here in a second. Now, in terms of the only device that can be used in conjunction with this particular chassis would be the proton bombs, as counter nets are not bombs, they're a device. So you can essentially go fast with Deathfire and launch a proton bomb at the end of it. It's kind of like a reverse genius almost.
It's like a Discord. It's a Discord missile, but a bomb instead.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, if you set yourself up right, you can really do a nice bit of damage for that proton bomb if you can set it up correctly. Just getting those crits into your opponent if they have no shields.
I think it's really funny. You can do like a 3K turn and then launch the bomb exactly where you just were.
Yeah.
Where you were is just now a bomb. Have fun. Or do like a 5K. The 3K is funny to me.
And what's really nice about this particular pilot is the swift approach. So during the system phase, after you drop or launch the device, you can perform a white barrel roll or boost action, even if you're stressed. So you can fly past ships. You could do a 4K, turn around, and do a boost action if you need to during the system phase of the following turn to set up a blue maneuver for yourself. And then if you go like a 3 straight, which is blue on those bombers, you can launch a device, which is really nice.
So also with his ability, it says drop or launch a bomb using a 3 straight. Can you then nimble bomber that into a 3 bank?
Yep. That's why I said it's a Discord, man.
Yep. Well, I mean, you can only drop it using the nimble bomber. You can't launch it using because the nimble bomber is just specifically when dropping.
So I've had my fair share of conversations with this one, and I think the intent for this one is just to be able to use nimble bomber when you're dropping it out the rear. Right. It does not work when you're launching it out the front. So it is.
I think that's pretty clear. I'm just saying, if you do like a 3 hard, you can drop it at a 3 bank.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or do like a 5K 3 bank drop.
You don't think there's going to be issues with that? In terms of, so it says if you have not dropped or launched the bomb, so you were going to drop it, now you're going to launch it. Doesn't nimble bomber go into effect before you would launch it? Therefore, you would be able to use it.
Drop.
Yeah, I think the wording on nimble bomber is very specific to that particular style of releasing that munition, which in this case would be dropping. So yeah.
Well, I hope somebody enforces that, because otherwise it's a Discord missile.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely something that, with Nova coming up, and we're definitely going to see these ships on the table for Nova. I'm 100% positive that we're going to definitely have the judges make sure that they're up and ready for these particular calls when this comes up on the table. So yeah.
All right. The next one is Captain Jonas. And that comes in at 5 points.
Yep.
And this is the one that I think people were a little concerned about, because of the defenders in your bullseye. You basically get a free crit. But it's a torpedo attack, right?
Which one are you going through? Jonas?
Captain Jonas.
Yeah, he has after you drop or launch a device, you can gain an evade.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's not the one that people were scared of.
No, that's Major Rhymer.
Yeah. So Jonas coming in at 5 points almost feels like it's dead on arrival, right? I mean,
especially when the other 2 Jonases are actually really good.
Yeah. Yeah, this one just feels more of a suppressive fire variant, but at 5 points, you're really you really want to try to make this work, and you're putting yourself up against like a student tier fell at I6 versus Captain Jonas, who's a I4. Now, that being said, his ability is pretty nice. So um, his talent, which is top cover, which it reads after a friendly ship I'm sure to one defense. If you have not dropped the launch a device this round, you may launch a device using the 3 bank straight or bank template. And you ignore the effects of friendly devices as well, which is separate. So he always has ablative plating essentially for bombs.
Yep.
So he only has proton bombs on here, so you can essentially set up a proton bomb to be launched ahead of yourself. Um, Really, I mean, unless you're able to ionize that opponent and then block them in place to make sure that that bomb that you launch is going to hit that person, it's really tough to justify the cost of it. He does come equipped with barrage rockets, which would be nice, with the focus token. But beyond that, I don't know. It's hard to justify this particular Captain Jonas over the 4 cost Captain Jonas, which helps the rerolls for all your ships.
I mean,
So
it is cool that you can launch a bomb and then get an evade after you like defend, but that's about it.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
question is, if after you launch that bomb, does it just sit there essentially with like a delayed fuse on it till next round?
Yes.
It
Mhm.
explodes at the end of the next system phase, right? So
Yeah. So before, if you could throw it, if it would explode right away, then I would say that's pretty awesome. Like that would be probably worth 5 points. But like to me, this doesn't feel like it's worth like 5 points.
No.
I mean, if you're like jousting people and then like they shoot at you, you can drop a bomb and then 5k behind them, I guess. So like they could eat the bomb next round if you're trying to get behind them, but yeah, it's not worth the 5 points.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, because you got Merrick for Christ's sake at 4. So like, I don't like, and Merrick's gonna live longer and be more agile. I don't know.
Yeah, not to mention that if you're launching ahead of yourself, you're also probably setting up your own ships to suffer the damage as well.
But you don't at least. But yeah, 5 points. Like you could take this Jonas, or you could take like Soontir, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll take Soon's here. I think all day long I'll take Soon's here.
If
All
I
right.
want a squishy ship that's gonna die right away, I might as well take Soontir.
He's at least fun to run.
Yeah.
So the next one is Major Rhymer. He comes in at 4 points. He has advanced protons, advanced loaders, and afterburners. So the afterburners is actually kind of a nice touch. Automated loaders. After you perform a primary attack, you may spend 1 charge to perform a reload action. So essentially, as long as you're not stressed, you get 2 APTs. So like this ship you have to kill pretty quickly if you got to kill this ship, otherwise he's getting 2 APTs off in a game. And
Well,
I think for 4 points that's pretty good.
First. It is off a primary attack, off automated loaders. So he shoots the APT, then he shoots you again, then he reloads it.
Okay.
So it's not like double tap with APTs, which would be terrifying. But it's still really good, I think, for 4 points. Also, his ability is different. Instead of modulating like the range, he has, after he does a torpedo attack, if there's a defender in your bullseye, you can change 1 focus result to a crit result. So it kind of dares him to go up there and just take the lock at range 1 instead of any defensive token.
Like 404.
Yeah, just imagine doing this like a Lebo at range 1. Because, you're at initiative 4, Lebo's 3. Just roll lock and then shoot an APT at him.
And Lebo gets 1 green dice.
Yep. And you're packing probably 2 crits. So at least 1 no matter what. That's terrifying.
And this bomber has no bombs, even though it's a bomber. It has no bombs. So a little weird. You would have thought they could have just given bomblet generator. I think that would have been fair.
And you get 3 hard afterburners, barrel roll, target lock, and then shoot an APT with 2 mods.
Yeah.
Sounds wholesome.
So I think this one is kind of scary. I think this is the one. See, this is weird because to me this is almost, I don't know. It's probably dead on arrival at 5 points, but this almost feels a little bit more like a 5-point ship than Captain Jonas does.
Yeah. I mean, at 4 points, this does do quite a bit more damage. So I think that this might have a little bit more utility, and something I would consider at 4 points. Just because if you're able to get that APT off and then just basically do a one straight, you're pretty much guaranteeing that you're going to bump or at least cause a bump, and then you can take a range 0 shot at worst, reload, and then you're set for the following turn to launch another APT. That afterburner's charge also really good just to do a 3K into a boost, and if you already have a lock, you could set yourself up again for another APT shot at your opponent. So you do have a lot of utility with this Major Rhymer. It could potentially have a very high ceiling for damage. So only time will tell. We'll see if somebody's able to really master the use of this particular ship.
Yeah, it is still a bomber, so it first has to get to range 1 without dying, and then to shoot at a second one, it has to go through another round of engagement where it shoots, and then it has to live again at I4 to shoot a second one. So I don't think it's going to be like the craziest thing in the world, but it's a pretty nice second engagement kind of ship.
Yeah,
That's the one you put in the back, and then you put the all guys front, and then your second wave you come in with Rhymer.
Yeah.
So is this do you think this is a good replacement for the cost for the build your own Jonas?
I feel like it kind of depends on what you're bringing. If you're still bringing like Sat Salvo barrage rockets, I think Jonas might be better. But if you bring the new Tomax, which we'll talk about, this might be a separate replacement for that Jonas.
All right. Next one is Tomax brand. So we now have 2 Tomaxes at 3 and 1 at 5, and I have no idea what that 1 at 5 does because I don't think anybody ever takes them.
That's not good.
But they have 1 at 5 that essentially you get a proxy mine on them.
Barrage rockets, proxy mines, and elusive.
Yeah, and after you recover 1 token on one of your upgrades, which basically by doing the 3K or the 5K only, you could perform a reload action to recover it.
Yeah. When you recover your elusive charge.
So then you don't shoot. Okay. Anyway.
On to the good one.
Yeah. So that's the 5.1, which probably should not be 5 points. The Tomax Bren for this one basically says after you perform a barrel roll action, you can spend 2 charges. If you do, gain a focus token. This one has barrel roll into lock. So you're going to barrel roll, it's white, you're going to gain your focus, and then you're going to get a damn lock if you want. And he has plasmas, true grit, and ion bombs, and true... Oh my god. The plasmas, that's just good for plasmas. And then at the end of activation phase, which is what True Grit does, if you are not strained, you can take a strain token to remove a non-lock red or orange token. So you can essentially, if you're stressed, you could just get a strain and just basically say, I'm going to do a white maneuver now and not care.
Yeah, also it's at the end of activation, so you know any incoming shots. And also it works for orange tokens, so if you reload, you can just get a strain and still shoot.
That's crap. That's crap.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
So it's like the Empire's Siege of Coruscant kickback, essentially.
Kind of. I don't know about that. Why was it kickback?
Yeah, kickback's the one that when he takes a...
The barrel roll of a target lock.
Yeah, okay.
But I think this is incredible for 3 points, just to get a double modded plasma torp off rip, you know?
You can do it twice, too. Twice.
Well, it is 2 charges that are reoccurring, so it's every other turn at least.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you can do it. And here's the best part, because True Grit literally says, so you could do with a 5K, right? Do a 5K, and then you can just have a strain and not be stressed for next turn. And so if you get behind somebody and nobody is looking at you, why would you just not take a strain? For 3 points. This is 3 points. I know they're not very maneuverable, but this is going to be, and it's an I5 too. Like, I think this one is a big competition for your 3-point build your own.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think this one will overtake the Saturation Salvo Barrage Rocket Tomax that we see now?
If it were me, 100% yes. This is a separatist playstyle right here. This, or scum if you want to like go back to 1.0. This is very scummy in its like build. This is what scum needs is this ship. That's what scum needs. So I think I in my opinion, yes. I don't know. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, honestly, like when I was taking a look at this ship when this came out, this is something that suddenly I felt that could be a very good replacement for what I have on my list right now, which is Lieutenant Laurier, because this is a ship that can do a lot of work and at I5 get a good shot off. I mean, you have a higher probability at I5 of acquiring a lock on a ship that you want to try to reduce shields and get like a good shot off. Those plasma torpedoes, I mean, they're still very underrated. If it hits against a fully shielded opponent, you're able to strip off one of those shields and then apply the rest of the damage that you rolled. So it can essentially act sort of like a proton torpedo when it comes down to the amount of damage that you can put out from that particular shot, and then follow up with the rest of your I5s if you have more on your list, or just set up the follow up shots to go into the hull with everybody else. So this is definitely a ship that's probably going to see some play in the meta, just because it's cheap. It has really good ability, and it can definitely put out some damage.
Yeah. How about you, Alex?
I like it more than the Barrage Rocket Saturation Salvo, just because it has the positive. That Plasma Torps hits really hard at I5.
Yeah.
And ion bombs. I love ion bombs so much. I think they're the most underrated bombs. They're so good. People are so bad against them.
Yeah.
And hey, it gives you 3 ion tokens, right? So if there's like a large base there and you block their boost, now they're ionized.
Yeah, if you're facing off against a Han Solo as well, the Han does not want to see those ions, because Han doesn't want to be caught in a box where he can have a lot of focus fire sent on him, and that ion will definitely stop Han from being able to reposition. So that it's strong. It's definitely very strong.
And remember, if you ionize yourself, you can just True Grit and get a strain instead.
Yes.
You don't want to do that ionized maneuver next round. Breaks your lock. I wouldn't recommend doing it, but you can.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's see. What list did y'all bring for the Empire? I don't think I built one, so it'll just be JJ and Alex. JJ, what is your list that you want to run that is not what you're running for Nova?
For Nova, yeah. So this is me kind of really going into the bombers and really taking advantage of them here, of their loadouts, their abilities, and trying to maximize their outputs here. So this is a spin of an older list that I've made previously. So I have Captain Hark here in the Gauntlet, with Clan Training, Grand Moff Tarkin, Tiber Saxon Gunner, Mando Optics, and Swivel Wing. Deathfire, the Toby version, also Major Reimer, the Toby version, Tomax Bren, the Toby version, and then Tomax Bren, the original version with Saturation Salvo, Barrage Rockets, and Bomblet Generator. So essentially for this particular list, I am trying to keep my list relatively in a range 3 bubble, to really take advantage of Grand Moff Tarkin. With Captain Hark, you can essentially, during the system phase, acquire a lock with Mandalorian optics on a particular ship that you're intending to use Grand Moff Tarkin then to provide that target lock to the rest of your bombers, so that way it turns on all their ordnance that they need to, particularly Reimer and Tomax with their plasma and proton torpedoes. Captain Jonas essentially gets a double-modded shot on whoever they would choose to, and then just get to work with everybody else. Ideally, you want to have Hark reinforce just so if he's ahead of everybody else, he can survive the initial onslaught while the rest of the bombers can take a range 3 shots, or in Tomax's case, in Reimer's case, take range 1 shots if needed. And this really helps prevent your opponents to reinforce or reposition out of arc, and really help your bombers lock down your opponents while they take all the shots that they need to take out your opponents.
You just love that gauntlet that will just immediately be murdered.
I mean, you gotta definitely put in some work to kill that gauntlet. With a reinforce and 2 agility, it's tough to take down those gauntlets pretty fast. I mean, yeah, jam is a thing, but if you're focusing all your attention on that gauntlet, those bombers are going to come in and they're going to do some heavy damage to you back.
So who's your objective monkey in this one?
Probably Deathfire. Deathfire is going to be the one that doesn't have any ordnance, so he's mostly trying to get opponents to chase him, so that way he can just drop his ordnance and take out enemies as they come along. So usually Deathfire will probably be the ship that I will use as the objective monkey on this one.
Just sucks that Tiber is only basically useful for Deathfire.
Yeah.
Sparks being an I3.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Alex, what did you bring us?
I brought us a list with 2 different kinds of ships, and that's it. 3 X1s and 2 bombers. I figure, you know what? All my ships are going to have 6 health. We're going to do Starter Pack Vader, and then we're going to do Juno with shield upgrade, Merrick with shield upgrade, Deadeye and marksmanship, and then the new Tomax and the new Deathfire. Deathfire's super cool, and also everyone's at I5. Well, Deathfire's 3. The other 3 ships are at 5, and Vader's at 6. So it's a lot of high initiative too.
So for this list, is Deathfire your objective monkey still?
I mean, it can be Juno, it could be Merrick. I don't think I have a specific objective monkey there, but I do like the idea of ionizing someone with ion bombs or ion missiles, and then dropping a proton bomb after I do some sort of crazy maneuver with Deathfire. I guess you could replace the shield upgrades with afterburners if you want a really fast list, but I like the extra health. Just kind of seems like a solid list.
Yeah, I don't know on Juno with the shield upgrade, though. To me, it would be FTC or FCS. FCS. That's
Over like passives?
I mean, I don't know. I like passives too, and that's fine. Like, I think passive could work as well. I don't know. It depends on, because I guess what do you do with the other 6 points, right? Maybe you put Lone Wolf on Juno, Fire Control, Lone Wolf. That's 5 points. You still got 3 points. I don't even know what you do then.
Yeah,
So I guess you don't.
No. Keeps it nice and simple if you just put the shield upgrade on there.
I guess. It just kind of feels bad. He's all like Juno's only taking either 2 dice shots or always taking a target lock. So
remember, you can boost, so that really helps. Like get you out of places or into places.
all right. Well, I did not do an Empire list. Nope. No Empire for me. Let's go over the YT 2400. So we'll start. All right, we're going to start with Scum. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start with Scum. Wait till you see my Scum list. You're going to laugh.
I did.
Because I don't even so here's Dash and here's Lebo, both at 7, only pre-builds. Makes 0 sense why you can have a 6-point Rebel Lebo and not a 6-point Scum. I don't get it. this was going to be, I was going to do a What Turns My Dial segment this week, but then I just decided that maybe I'll save it for next week, but I'll probably just get pissed off and complain about it anyway. I don't understand what AMG has against Scum. And
They
like,
might unironically just don't like. They might just unironically hate Scum.
yeah. And like, I get Dash at 7, whatever. Fine. I don't in Scum they could have given Dash at 6 points and it wouldn't matter because it would have at least given some competition to some of the big points or bigger ships, but I just do not understand Lebo at 7. Like I thought this would I thought that Lebo came in at 6 points and that was fine. Some people wanted him at 5. I thought 5 would be pretty broken. We played Lebo last week, and I'll be honest with you, at 5 points in Scum, it would be an auto include. There would not be any conversation. You would never think of another 5-point ship that you would take over Lebo at 5 points. I mean,
Still rather have Manaru over Lebo.
okay,
5.
whatever. Everybody but Alex, he would be the only one.
A lot of people would take Tarok too.
Ugh, oh my god, they're not. Nope.
That's about the only 5-point ships in Scum. So
I don't think you would take that. A 5-point Lebo is really, really good.
I
Like-
wouldn't put him in my Scum list. I'd rather have Manaru.
Everybody but Alex. Alex is the only person that would not take a 5-point Lebo.
I would take a 5-point Lebo. Yeah. I think he would definitely be a contender for that spot, and I would actually probably make space for a 5-point Lebo. My only thing though is that we're still contending with Scum becoming like the only large base faction. Like that's pretty much like the main thing that you run in Scum is like larger medium bases. Like that's about it. Like Scum definitely needs help. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed to see these costs so high. But at the same time, I'm like, you can, if you're gonna put Lebo at 7 points, give him I mean, I wish that we had a custom version of Lebo, number one. And number two, a version of Lebo that actually has a crew slot where we can put some fun crew on him. So that way he can be viable. Because at the end of the day, it's a 7-point I3 that has to take shots after everybody else. So it's tough.
And
It's
stay
just
far
really tough.
away from everyone.
Yeah, and stay far away. Yeah.
And not play the objectives.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for
So-
result. Now, the
so-
only thing I can see why Lebo would be 7 is that they didn't want to do Lebo and 2 fire sprays. But, like, I don't know. You could do Dengar and 2 fire sprays, and that's not lighting anything up.
Nope. You could definitely do Lebo and 2 fire sprays, and we would still be in the gold. So, and a little sidetrack, as Greg was saying, Giants are the scum of the NFL now. So that is the new slogan for Planning Phase Syndicate. The Giants suck. And Greg, I would highly encourage you to wager a bet against JJ, because if at this point he's losing, and I gotta get him a Lions shirt or something that he's got to wear every day. And then you can bet whatever team you want, and then JJ will take your bet, and then JJ will have to wear 2 teams like for a whole year. It'll just be like a whole year of him looking like he hates the Giants.
Did lose to the Lions.
They did lose to the Lions, yes. And here, Alex, you want to know what the best part is? I don't have cable, so I can't watch it, right? And so I was like, I'm not going to go to a bar because I don't like football that much, to watch it. And so JJ's texting me. He's texting me about how good the Giants are doing, how good. And then all of a sudden he stops texting me, and I was like, I don't know why. Well, I figured it out pretty quickly. All I had to do was look up the score about a half hour later. And I was like, hey, it looks like the Lions are tied with you now, or winning by 1. Oh, wait, the Lions are now winning by 4? Like, what the hell?
Hey, we did go 4-0 that one season. We went 0-16. Just throwing that out there.
I don't care. I don't care. I won the bet, and JJ has to wear Lions gear. So that's all that matters. Maybe we should start a fundraiser to have JJ only wear Lions gear for a whole year. Like, somebody can buy JJ like a set of Lions underwear and JJ
Nothing
can
wrong with
do.
rocking a Megatron jersey.
Yeah, I actually have one. So I actually have one. I don't know if it fits anymore, but I do have one.
You got an Indomitian one.
Oh,
All
dude.
right, let's take a look at the Rebel list now.
No, I'm still upset about Scum.
We're gonna do Scum list now.
Okay,
That's what
go.
we're gonna do. So
I can't believe he's 7 points. I can't believe both of them are 7 points. It'd be slightly more reasonable if like Lebo wasn't 6 points in Rebels. Like if they just kept that consistent.
Yeah.
But I don't see the reasoning behind that other than that maybe they were worried about 2 fire sprays in Lebo. Because like there's nothing I can't think of anything else.
I mean, I don't even know if Dash would be broken at 6 points.
I don't like Dash's ability in the standardized version of it. I don't think it's particularly good.
So, all right, Alex, what is your list?
Okay, so I went with 3 I5s and Afra. I went with Lima with Plasma Torps, R4B11, my favorite loadout. Dirge with Proton Cannons, Contraband, and Fearless. Dash Rendar. And then Dr. Afra with Rook Cast, Han Solo Gunner, and Babu. And I feel like if you just put Dash right next to Afra, people are going to have a hard time getting to Dash because there's a giant ship in the way. And also that Rook Cast Han Solo is a really strong combo if you're looking for hits because you roll up with a Reinforce, you have Babu so it can't get jammed off. Then you do your Han Solo action when you activate. It's a red action. You take the strain with Rook and then shoot with double mods. But a really strong double mod where you could change either a focus or a blank to a hit.
And you chose Dash over Lebo just because you
Dash is an
wanted
I5, and there's 2 other I5s in that list. Also, I guess there's a minor thing that you can use Dash's ability to... never mind. It's not worth it. But you can do like... you can, I don't know, lock with Seeker missiles, shoot with the Seeker missiles, maybe not spend the lock, and then use the lock to re-roll their dice on the Plasma Torps with R4B11. So there's a little bit of synergy there.
Yeah. I mean, and Lebo Crew, in my opinion, isn't really broken either because Lebo Crew just lets you repair, damage cards. But you got to get the damn damage cards first before you can do anything.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're down to 6 hull. So if somebody wants to burn you down at 6 hull, you're probably going to have a hard time living if they focus fire on you.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just screening Dash with Afra. Just really difficult to get people in their way. I mean, ideally, you have obstacles on one side, Afra on the other. You can go through the obstacles if you really need to. And then, if Afra dies, you get a reinforced token, which is kind of funny. So, with Dash's ability, with the mercenary.
Gotcha. All right. JJ, what is your list and why do you have an escape craft? Is that your coordinator? You put an escape craft in as a coordinator?
Yes.
Whoa, he can also use that ability.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to go for. So I'll read down the list here. So I got the standard loadout Dash with the Outer Rim Pioneer with March Saber Closure and Attack Officer. And we'll come back to that in a second. Then we got Dirge and Cad Bane in the Rogue Class Starfighter. Dirge with Proton Cannons, Contraband, and Engine Upgrade. Cad Bane with Sync Laser, Deadman Switch, Lots Razi in the title. And then to round off the list, Boss with Esper Handling and Marksmanship. Now, Dash's ability, especially with the Outrider title, he wants to go through those obstacles and do Dash things with his ability. Outer Rim Pioneer wants to be close to Dash in order to allow Dash to shoot off of obstacles. So this is another list where you want to bring in gas clouds so that way Dash can overlap them without suffering any potential damage. You do run the risk of getting ionized, but it's a 1 in 8 chance. Outer Rim Pioneer just lets Dash be able to shoot off of that gas cloud and do some damages there. And with Outrider being able to have that passive juke ability, shooting through an obstacle, you can really set yourself up to allow the rest of your list to go in there and do some damage on your intended target there. Works really good with Dirge as well, especially if you are like focusing firing with Dirge and Dash. Just being able to soften up a target first with Dirge and then allow that juke ability with Dash to potentially finish off or seriously injure an enemy ship. You can really set yourself up for having a really good like attack for your list there.
I would say I do not like your Cad Bane, but that's just my opinion. And I don't like the Dirge with the engine upgrade either, but that's just my opinion too.
Yeah, it just the reason why I had him with engine upgrade is because I want I want to set him up properly without stressing him out, especially if I'm sending him out at a flank to essentially converge. Because most people, when they look at this list, they'll probably try to go after Dash to get that range one to like reduce his agility and his attack. And if that's the case, I can pincer with Dirge and being able to do that with engine upgrade, especially if I know I'm not going to have a shot with him, just allows him to still have an open dial the following turn without having to worry about the stress.
Cad Bane with Lots Razi. That's not IGD if you're using sync laser cannons.
I like Lots Razi a lot. Sync Laser Cannon just basically opens up the range for Cad Bane to potentially pass off the stress from his linked action over to somebody else, and then particularly somebody who's going to shoot at Cad Bane, so that way he can turn that stress into an evade with Lots Razi. It's a nice little combo there between the two that I think could potentially work out and be pretty decent.
I invented that combo, okay? I know
Yeah,
what it
I know.
does. I just like
I
IGD
know.
if I'm running sync laser cannons.
And I'm paying homage to that, man. It's a really good combo, bro.
That just extra calculate token, just a double calculate token with IGD for sync laser means you can actually use
deny
sync
range.
lasers for the deny the range.
Yeah. No, at I4, yeah, maybe. I don't know how often you'll be doing it with that initiative, but
you just flank with Cad Bane.
Yeah,
with sync laser cannons. Also, if you really want, you could mercenary or not mercenary. Use Dash's ability if you like hit a gas cloud, pass the ion token to Cad Bane, and then he can hit someone and pass them the ion cannon or the ion token.
Yeah,
which is hilarious to me. I wouldn't try to go for it, but you can.
Yeah.
All right, my list is more of a for fun list, but I don't know. It's Tanner's for fun list. How about that? So I have Dace with Ahsoka, Deadman Switch, Moldy Crow. I chose Lebo because if it was 6 points, I would be excited, and I'm just not excited at 7. But whatever. I then have Leighton Shah with Ion Cannon, Fearless, Cad Bane with Marksmanship, Protons, Contraband, Xanadu Blood, and Lots, and then Bosk with Expert Handling and Marksmanship. So there isn't like a huge a huge idea here. You could swap out and put Ion Cannons on Cad Bane too if you really wanted. I don't know why you would. The idea is essentially that you have Leighton Shah come in, can ionize, do stupid things to keep you in place. I wish I could afford to put Ahsoka and ion bombs on Dace. You just can't. That's the really sad thing. And I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me if because they don't get a turret spot, right? So I can't take, an ion cannon with her. So I really wish I could. That would be nice, just to take an ion cannon. But you can't do that either, so you know what we need? We need a Deadman Switch that ionizes you. There you go. That's what I want. Somebody give me a new upgrade that's 2 points that when you die, it ionizes you and you're dead there. That's what
like an EMP switch.
There you go.
Deadman. Or Deadman's EMP.
Or like a chopper EMP.
No, I actually do like the Ahsoka and Day Spawn arm. Zach's been running that for a while. It's pretty useful. Um, it's really good for like alpha strikey kind of things. They did it with like Sarasu and then just get a double modded, like a Bag Pulse or Threat Tracers or something like that to set up the rest of his list. And Dace can theoretically just move after every single person in this list.
Yes, that's kind of the idea, right? You know, that's kind of like, let's bait him with Dace and hope Dace doesn't die. That's really it. That's really it.
It does allow Lebo to take a focus action too, which is kind of funny to me.
Yes, so Lebo can take a focus, though Lebo doesn't always want to take a focus because Lebo gets 2 calculates, and then this Lebo, so I guess we never went over what this Lebo does differently, but this Lebo essentially gets the 2 calculates, and then at the end of the turn can spend 1 calculate to take a target lock for next turn. So you can essentially point your arcs out the side, Seeker missiles in the front, and you can be kind of a weird Han Solo for 7 points in Scum. That's just, I don't know. Han Solo is cheaper than Lebo, for Christ's sake, you know.
It is a lock on an enemy ship at range 2 to 3. It is acquire, so you can still do it. Like, you know, it's not an action, but it is at range 2 to 3 specifically.
Yeah.
Also, for some reason, Lebo has target lock, link, red, rotate.
Yep. It's really good.
So you can do that.
That is really, really, really good. I like that a lot.
I would never see the use for it. Because usually you just put your arcs out to the side, right? It's like Han Solo or any large base double arc ship.
Mm-hmm.
And these things have 1 hards, and that's super good for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. I will tell you, it was useful. It was useful when we played on Monday with it. So, I don't think it's probably a 1-use type thing, but I still think it's useful. It allows you to essentially, because you're the I3, if you misjudge or something like that, you can do a crazy maneuver and then essentially get your block. Now, I will warn you, you're stressed, so you're doing a 1 to 2 bank after that. So, hope the gods you're far away from people.
Blue. It's just 1 bank blue.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's better to have it than not have it. It's just kind of really random that he has it.
Yeah, we assumed that it was a miscalculation, but I don't know. So
I mean, other standard loadout cards like that Jonas, that's 5 points, has a white reload instead of a red reload. They change it up.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was kind of my list. Essentially, it's just kind of a all low initiative type list that hope doesn't die and can try to ionize you. But I think if you go all in on the ionizing piece, it doesn't work. But Dace being able to move last does allow for Dace to be able to use the Ahsoka coordinate to people behind him. So it's like after having flown Kanan, now that you have Moldy Crow, like, oh my gosh, like this is like really good. Like that shit for 4 points is really good because
you can actually hit things now.
Yeah, like, and I don't have to worry about where my turret is specifically pointed all the time either because I got, you know, the front arc. So
and you hold focuses.
Yeah, and you get the whole focuses, and you're kind of immune to jam a little bit. And you're giving the focus away, so
and his ability, it doesn't have to be with an arc, so it's just all around a solid piece.
Yep, I would challenge people and say, hey, can we figure out a way to run, like, to create an ion list to maximize Dace? Would be fun. I just don't know if it's like, give me a couple of the bombers from Empire.
An ion cannon, unlike Sarasu.
Could do that.
5.
Sarasu's 5. Sarasu's 4. I thought.
I mean, like initiative 5.
Oh,
yeah, 4 points. Initiative 5.
You can it just
ion cannon and HLC.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted.
Just both for some reason. Actually, no, you have Ahsoka. Probably just do Mag Pulse and ion cannon. Full control.
All right. So we're going to move back to Rebels. All right. So the notable here is Wild Space Frigate, Dash, and Lebo non-standard loadout. Old cards are all banned. So I think they were banned before, or if they
And
weren't
were
banned, extended. Now they're officially banned. You cannot run them in anything except for the Nickel City tournament, which maybe somebody will run Lebo. I don't know.
I'm bringing Wild Space Fringer, baby.
Why would you do that over? Why would you? It has an illicit slot and a missile slot. Literally,
so bad.
You could run dead bands and I don't know.
Homing. And then you maxed out your
there you
loadout
go.
value of 7.
Boom. Sold, baby. Anyway, so then you have Lebo coming in as standard loadout at 6, and the build your own at 6 with 16 points, but notably, no crew slot. Also notably, does have the spot to get the title though, so you can still get a title, unlike these damn Hawks. You can still get a title on either ship. Anyway, so it has 2 illicits, 1 mod slot, a missile slot, and it does have a talent slot, which is nice to see on an i3. Usually we have not been seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, definitely.
But he is the robot with wisdom for the ages. I don't know. So then we have Dash coming in at 7 points for your standard loadout and 7 points for your build your own, with 20 points, which I actually think is pretty. That's pretty good. You came in close to what you can get in those Falcons. So you get a title, 2 illicit slots, 1 mod slot. You get a crew slot for 1 more point. Somehow you get a crew slot now that you couldn't have on the other one. A missile slot and a talent slot.
Yeah, my assumption is that the Lebo doesn't have that crew slot, specifically only because C-3PO.
I would assume so too.
Which is a little frustrating.
Yeah, definitely it's sad not to see 3PO Lebo combo for this particular ship, especially since it's so susceptible to lose its bonus at range 1. So yeah,
it only gets 1 calculate token.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the standard loadout, so it's even more rough.
Yeah, and it's very easily jammed as well. Like the only way to really make it viable in Rebels right now is if you run a ship that has K2SO crew that can at least pass over a calculate token early, but then that restricts Lebo's dial and his actions to really make him effective at attacking.
All right, JJ, what did you build for us?
So I went back and forth on this one, mainly because I can't really decide how I want to build out the custom dash as of yet. So I went with the standard loadout dash that has Ezra Bridger with K2SO crew, Tactical Scrambler, Night Brother title, and Harrison Dula. Then we have Boy Luke with Instinctive Aim, Proton Torpedoes attack speed, and then Sabine Wren with Lone Wolf to round off the list. Now, essentially, I'm using Ezra as that interference piece that can help block the lane for Dash while Dash is able to get around and take shots from the rear to help him essentially try to take out as many targets as possible from range. And then the rest of the list can help contain at close range. Luke with his Instinctive Aim proton torpedoes, and Ezra being able to shoot at close range as well with that gauntlet. Harrison Dula being able to allow a lot of flexibility out of Ezra, even while he's stressed, to be able to turn around and engage or keep engagement and time on target on different on the same ships, and still have the mod while he's stressed to modify multiple dice, and of course, Night Brother, the Night Brother title to provide him with a token as well. So definitely a lot of synergy in that, and just kind of like area denying by using that big body and taking advantage of that, and just try to take out ships from that way.
All right, Alex, what did you build?
I brought a little bit of an interesting list. I went with customizable dash. I went with as much offense as we can get. I went trick shot, Ursa, overtuned raid cargo at ablative blading, and the title. Boy Luke, because he's the best rebel piece. Saw Gerrera with hopeful Magva, the child rigged cargo, is actually quite hilarious. If people like one, you can have rig cargo, so you can have more stuff out there. You should also have FCS. I don't know why it's only built up to 60 that many points. Yeah,
Because
you
he's
have
only
rig
allowed to
car-
have 20.
it's 18.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yeah, you should have FCS on there too. But you have rigged, so you can have more things out there. Same with Dash. You have Magva, so if they shoot you and hit you, you get a lock on them. The child, anytime they shoot you, they reacquire it, which means Dash gets a lock on you with Ursa Ren, which is quite funny. Or it doesn't have to be the same person attacking. You just be whoever you want. And also, I got Kyo in there with Juke because 3 points.
Makes sense.
I try to go maximum damage here.
You want to go maximum damage, and how do I add bigger obstacles onto the board to be a dick?
Yeah, and then you got essentially a Juke with the Outrider title, and then Kyo's got Juke.
So I was actually toying with a version of your list like that, trying to get out rig cargo shoots and stuff to allow more obstacles for Dash. And then at the same time, I was considering just going with the Notorious route with Dash, along with rig cargo shoot. For those you don't know, if you do land on a rig cargo shoot, you do give a strain to the opponent, and they also roll for stress if they overlap that. Notorious does work with Dash in that way that if you're able to land that rig cargo shoot on that opponent, you can still take advantage of that strain reroll with Dash, and it gives them a passive mod that way. But at the same time, it also really strips down Dash to very basic stuff. You can still have a bladed plating on him, but you're sacrificing a lot of your crew space and everything else in order to make that combo work.
All right.
I gotta say though, I'm sorry. I do got to say the child, and I got this from Greg from Nickel City. The child is definitely something worth considering, especially if you're running gas clouds, because if you can have Dash on a gas cloud and they're shooting at you with the child, they can't acquire locks on you because the gas cloud prevents them from being able to acquire those locks. So child is definitely an upgrade that Dash could probably be stapled to reliably if you're running those gas clouds.
Yep. I just, for this one, Ursa, and put the child somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I went a little bit different route than y'all did. I chose a 3-ship list only because I didn't feel like taking Han and making Han 2 other things, because I just don't think it works as well. But you could take Han, and Han could become Luke and Sabine. Han could become Kyo and some 4-point Gavin or Cornhorn or something like that if you wanted. If Wes was 4 points, I would put Wes in there. Wes, sadly, is not 4 points. And I did alter Lando, I think. I know we had a Lando discussion before, 6 months ago, but I wanted to try something different. So I have Lebo with Notorious, Contraband, Munitions Failsafe, and Homing Missiles. The Homing Missiles are 100% they could be anything else. You could make them concussion missiles. I thought Magpulse seemed dumb to put there, personally, just because you're an I3. But you could put Magpulse if you wanted. Then I have Lando. I gave Lando Neonub so that Lando's ability will trigger more often. Trick Shot, Engine Upgrade, and Ezra. And then I gave Lando the title because I don't know when you have 2 Falcons if you give the title to one or the other.
You give it to Lando.
I assume so, but I just didn't know. And then Han just has Chopper Bistan, engine upgrade, and Perceptive Copilot. On the Lando, I think you could make the decision you don't want engine upgrade, but I really think you need it. I don't know. I think with those Falcons, it just becomes a little bit more necessary. But Lando's ability allows you to have the the fun extra action. You can kind of so you can give Lebo the target lock, and Lebo can then have a calculate, right? And Lebo can spend his calculate if he wants on defense and still get it another calculate back. So it's like kind of a reoccurring force mod if you have it. But then you can also have the homing missile target lock. I put the homing missiles on there only because I thought it was Mimi. Again, I don't really think that they're probably that good. I mean, who's gonna let Lebo roll 4 dice? Like, who's gonna do that? But if you do have Lando and Han shooting something, and you do have that target lock at the end with Lebo, I think it could possibly be a good one. So then I was like, all right, well, what if I don't want to put Han in here and I just want a 4-ship list, which is probably the smarter one, that you just put Sabine and Luke in there. You could change up Lando's to Perceptor co-pilot Bistan. The Ezra Gunner gives you the ability to spend the Force to double tap, right? Or it gives Lando the soft mod. I think in this list, you give yourself Bistan Perceptive, personally. You can't do that when you run Han, but I think when you're just running just the one, I sadly think you go back to that. Though you do lose your engine upgrade, I will say that. So
yeah,
but it's not as important. I think if you're putting 2 other ships in there, Lando is essentially your support ship. And then if they want to be stupid, you can be double modded with Lando. So ignore Lando. Lando will punish you. That's just, Lando can have 2 focuses and a target lock. Lando can have 2 focuses and a boost. And the boost isn't as important because now you have 1 Banks and 3 Banks that are blue. So
You could also have double focus evade that he gets to reroll.
yep, you could do that too if you want. If you want the evade for the reroll. So, and then, again, I left the same build for Lebo, but again, you can sub out and put concussion missiles. They're probably the smarter bit if you're going to put something in there. I don't know if you really want clusters on Lebo, to be honest with you, because then you got to be close. And that leaves you with Magpults, ion missiles, which, I'm not sold on ion missiles. Ion torpedoes, if you could run it, would be good.
Yeah.
But whatever, I mean. So that's kind of why the homing missile, I swear to God, is just a memeing thing. It's just for fun. But with 4 ships, the homing missiles might be more beneficial. How about that? So
For the 3-point, or it's not 3-point, 3-ship list, you can scrap Ezra because you're kind of already getting 2 actions with Lando.
Mhm.
And you can put in like K2SO, which would help a lot with Lebo if you're kind of slow rolling him. But you can also have like Trick Shot, K2SO, False Transponders, Agile Gunner.
Yep. Which
is a thought.
Yeah, I think the Double Falcon is weird with it. Like, just honestly, it's just weird. It's like when somebody goes, well, you got 7 points, why wouldn't you just put Han in there? And it's like, yeah, I know. Like, Han's really good, but with Lebo, I want Lando. That's who I want with Lebo, is I want Lando with Lebo, because otherwise Lebo's doing nothing but taking a calculate token every round. That's it. You can't rotate your arc. You can't shoot a missile. You can't do anything. So if you don't have some sort of coordination, and I know you could probably get a better coordinator if you really wanted it, but I feel in this meta, the Lando is, and maybe this is a slept on thing, but I think Lando is slept on. And with Lebo, I think if you're going to run Lebo, Lando is a good companion for Lebo, and it leaves you 7 points to do whatever the hell you want with.
I love Lando so much.
I know you do.
When Han goes up, people are going to be like, oh God, Lando's busted at 7.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even without the double tap Bistan, if that goes up too, it's just, Lando's super, super good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, CJ.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, you could have the potential to double tap with Lando. You just have to basically get yourself sandwiched by opponents on either side, which is not recommended.
If you're doing that, your opponent's winning.
Yeah, the object is to not do that. But yeah, I mean, you do have a high ceiling potential for this list to essentially get 5 shots off a turn and do some pretty good stuff there. However, when it comes to the objective race, it is tough to really compete with objectives, specifically with like salvage. Scramble, maybe. I mean, Han can still grab an objective, and then with Chopper if he gets bumped, and then still have bonds with his ability. Lando less so. But with Lebo, I mean, you're again just trying to keep your distance and take shots, and that's where you're going to be the most effective. So typically, you're going to shy away from objectives. Although, I mean, with Lebo on the list, when you're considering scramble, for instance, is this one of those times where you consider actually putting the objective that you have to place all the way on the far end of your opponent's side and just have Lebo race over to that side?
No.
I'm sorry. I'm still hung up on the Chopper crew. You can't take that action when you're bumped because you skip your perform action stuff with Chopper crew. Like when you bump, you skip your perform action, so you still don't.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair. I mean, you could use like a reposition and then a red focus. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, it was just like that tripped me up for a second.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking of two things at the same time, but yeah, you're right.
No, I'm not sure what you do with objectives in that kind of list.
Yeah,
I think you just try to kill as many people as you can, right? And it's good for assault.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on and go to our pattern analyzer segment to analyze some store champs. Tonight, for our pattern analyzer segment, the store champs that we're going to look at, we're going to have a few of them. We're going to have some Lebos, which this one I have questions on because I don't understand why they have FTC on Lebo here. But they did make, and we got to a top cut essentially with it. But we have our first one from Gamers Guild in Arizona. We had 7 people with 4 and 1 or 3 and 3 and 1 or 4 and O's. Essentially make it. The winner is Modest Orange because it's not an apple and it's not a mouse. JJ, what did Modest Orange bring us?
So we have a first order list here that we're going to start off with here. We got Quick Draw with Special Forces Gunner, Pattern Analyzer, Fanatical, and Elusive, DT-798 with Fanatical, Scorch with Fanatical and Elusive, Lieutenant Gaelic with HLC, Lieutenant Commander Malorus with Magpulse Warheads, and Midnight with Pattern Analyzer and Fanatical. Definitely a pure offensive minded list there. I mean, you're pretty much running all these with 3 die for the most part, with Quick Draw being able to shoot, DT being able to take that strain for the 3rd die, Scorch being able to take that stress. Gaelic at I5 and a barrel roll can usually reliably get that HLC, especially against a large or medium base. And Commander Malorus with the Magpulse Warheads to really set up the shots for Gaelic, Scorch, and DT to really punch in there. And Midnight with Pattern Analyzer and Fanatical. I'm really interested in how they used these the ships here and like what order. Mainly for Midnight, only having that Pattern Analyzer and Fanatical. My guess is Midnight probably was the objective monkey in this particular list, and being able to especially in Scramble, being that I6 that can go in and contest an objective at that initiative can be very good. But the rest of the list is definitely really good at offense and is able to burn down ships pretty reliably with their ability.
Yeah, I don't like Pattern Analyzer on Midnight. Without the missile slot, I guess, what do you do? I mean, is there another 3-point ship you can slot in there, really?
No, I mean, not for that initiative and for what Midnight can potentially offer scenario-wise. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Alex, tell us what Alex Farley brought in his top 3 and 1 list
Well, pretty close to what you built, right? You got Han with Bistan Chopper kind of combo there. Engine upgrade, Perceptive. You got Boy Luke. You got Sabine with Beskar, and you have Lebo, the customizable one. Build your own. The Outrider title, Ablative Plating, False Transponder Codes, and Notorious. Interesting they didn't bring something like a Contraband Deadman kind of combo.
Hmm.
But False Transponders does allow you to jam kind of early because you're at a 3. Or if they are locking you, you tell them no.
Yeah, I guess I don't like FTC on Lebo though. Not for the points value, I guess.
I think if Deadman would be a good call because you are really rough at range 0 and 1. So at least you punish them for doing that. Overtuned might be okay. It gives you a lot of calculates, but then you're going to get strained every single turn.
Yeah, like if you don't use
So
your calculate,
Contraband. Yeah.
you're gonna have it, and then you have to clear it. And I don't know, like I don't think overtune's the way to. I think to me it's contraband, and it's only for when you need to do your stressful maneuver and you can't do a clearing maneuver.
Or if you're going through like a debris.
Yeah, to me that's the only reason I would see doing that. That's why I put contraband, but that's just because that's what I'm used to with fire sprays, I guess, right?
I mean, Contraband, Deadman Switch, I think would make a lot of sense for that kind of Lebo.
Yeah.
But it went 3 and 1. So congratulations to someone else with my name.
All right. Next one. Pastime Games in Illinois. Some people we know, some people we don't know. I don't know some of these people, I will be honest with you. I don't know who CRN is. But they have a Fen list. That's not Boba Fen, but it is a Fen list. JJ, what is the winning list here?
So we got a Fenrau here with Burnout Thrusters, Predator, and Lone Wolf. We got Eamon Zaman with Veteran Tail Gunner, Thermal Detonators, and The Child. And then Crisis Trellix with Bomblet Generator, and Dross the Title, Savage Press, and Sync Laser Cannons to round off this particular thing.
Oh.
That's not the winning list, right? That was just
No.
second place.
Okay. Sorry, yeah. I got focused
no,
on
it's fine.
that sub list though, but yeah.
Can we talk about putting Sync Laser Cannons on Crassus?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're just showing off.
Yep. I don't understand it. But
I mean,
my theory is that they misclicked Ion Cannon and didn't realize it until like the store champs already happened. They're like, oh, I guess I have to stick to this list because literally nothing in that list will ever take use of Sync Laser Cannons because you have a rear 3-die gun anyways.
Yeah, and the funniest thing to me is taking the Andrasta title and then only, just putting bomblets in there, like when you could have clearly like dropped something.
And Marauder.
Yeah, exactly. Marauder, exactly.
And get a reroll for your Sync Laser Cannon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not that that's any better than just having a 3-die gun. But Andrasta does give you the other bomb slot. That's the only way of taking Bomblet Generator.
Yeah, that's
true.
But
I don't know why you put again. They must have just misclicked. There's literally no reason for that. If you had IGD crew, sure, I guess I can kind of understand it because then you get calculates, but you don't. You have Savage. I don't get it.
There's like no way to get a calculate in that list.
Correct. You're literally bringing Sync Laser Cannons because you want to style on your opponent.
I mean, it is cool to be like, I'm going to Sync Laser Cannon you. And they're like, oh no. I'd be like, it doesn't do anything different. But hey,
Right.
Why would you want Ion Cannon? Okay, I don't know why. To me, that's not my Trellix build, I guess. That's not how I would do that. But I guess I probably also would run Kath, I think.
Or Koshka.
Or Koshka. Yeah, just like, I don't know.
Yeah, like I can understand the use for Ion Cannon because sometimes if you want to set somebody up who's chasing you, so that way you can like drop bombs on them, there's that use, right, for that. But beyond that, like, yeah, I mean, there could have been better investment of points anywhere else. But hey, they went 3 and 1, and congrats to them because that is that's definitely a hell of a list to definitely make it that far. It's really good.
Oh, well, double fire sprays are always really good. I mean, like literally for Crassus, why are you even bringing him? Like you
Yeah,
can't shoot HLCs or proton cannons out the back because they're bullseyes. So literally ion cannon or tractor beam or jamming beam, all of
yeah,
which are kind of dubious in their utility.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like I said. My guess is they wanted the 18 points, but if you yeah if the cannon, I don't know. They wanted the 18 points. There you go.
Uh, Again, you just look at your opponents, be like, watch me use these sync laser cannons that have literally no utility in my list.
Yeah. All right. So the winner, we've seen this list before, had Vader SSP, Vizier with Pelp. So this is the JJ version, or the wannabe JJ version. And Major Rhymer, this time with Ion Bombs, Barrage Rocket, Saturation Salvo, and Jonas and Bren with both rockets, bomblets, and saturation salvo. Nothing new. But there you go, JJ. That could be your list if you want for Nova next week.
Yeah, no. It has the wrong Tomax brand.
Well, they probably outlawed that. Outlawed it. I don't know how you ever say that word.
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah, that's
Dion
true.
announced that you couldn't
Yeah,
use the
yeah.
new stuff for pastimes.
That's
it
true.
just
Yeah,
makes it easier because if there's questions, then they don't have to deal with them.
that's fair. That's fair.
Jokes on you. The plot twist is JJ is bringing the starter pack 5-point Tomax.
That'd be great.
The sync laser cannons. I'm just like Zach texted me. He's like, please explain this to me. I'm like, well, obviously they just misclicked when they did the list because like literally there's no reason for that.
All right. The next one, Coliseum of Comics in Florida. Looks like a Reflex store, and we got some Reflex. We got some Ryan in there. Got some Milky Mans. And then we have Kat, Crispy Sister. Looks like... So this is hilarious because I saw Crispy playing Aerodome on Greg's stream on Saturday, and he could have been here. Crispy.
He's got his invite, man. He's good.
You still gotta go. So anyway, there was 2 3-1s, and the rest were 3-0s. Alex, what did Andrew Cox bring?
Just that standard Padme arcs list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Padme with marksmanship, acid, protons, and then SOC, Jag, Oddball, Wolf, and Anakin.
Yeah, super fun list, right?
I mean, as long as you're not like a large base boosting out of Padme's arc.
As long as you're not a Han, right? Except for this list can still kill Hans because you don't use Padme to kill Han as much. You use the arcs.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a solid list. I'm sure people will eventually realize that you can just shoot arcs and they die. You don't have to shoot Padme. Please don't shoot Padme. That's a trap.
Yeah, it is.
All right. JJ, what did Cat run?
Well, Cat Patrick definitely had a really interesting list here that I've seen becoming a little more and more common now, actually, as I've been playing against some scum players. So we got Dr. Afro with Lando Calrissian Crew, The Child, BT1, Over 2 Modulators, and Babu Frick. Fen Rao with Clan Training, Beskar, Reinforced Plating, Afterburners, Dengar with Lone Wolf, Agile Gunner, Contraband, Cybernetics, Punishing One, and R5P8. And then to round off the list, Bosk with Marksmanship and Deadpan Switch. Really excellent list there. You got the 2 I6s between Fen Rao and Dengar. Dengar being that hammer at I6, just being able to definitely do some damage. And Fen Rao with the Clan Training Afterburners is really, really good to get in there and do a 5-die shot there. Afra, though, Afra is really awesome. So you can essentially, on your turn, pop over 2 modulators, give yourself 3 calculates, And then you can use Lando Calrissian Crew to spend those calculates for rerolls on offense or defense as needed. And then if you have anything left over for tokens, you can use Babu Frick to get rid of any of the strain that can come in there, and rinse and repeat until Dr. Alpha is done. She can also use those calculates to assign stress to opponents that are within range of Dr. Alpha when she engages. And just that Lando crew efficiency with those calculates makes Afra really, really good to bring out the status effects, and makes her accurate on offense as well at I3, particularly after our ship has been taking shots from Fenrir and Dengar. It is a really nasty list. I like it a lot.
Yeah, just remember that you can't pop overtuned if you're already stressed. So
Yes. Yep.
but yeah, actually, I believe Crispy was talking about this particular list in the Scum, like GSP Discord thing, and he's saying that he really likes it a lot, and that's the list that he would run if he was running Scum.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit suspect about Deadman Switch and Bosk, but maybe his opponents don't actually shoot his Bosk.
Everybody shoots Bosk.
Yeah, I know, which is either hilarious because Bosk is 2 points, or tragic because you need a Bosk to do something.
Yeah, I like the expert handling better, but All right. Next list is for Gamescape. I believe it's in San Francisco. The top list is the same 3 arcs, Padme and Anakin. I don't think we need to cover it because it's literally the same thing we have seen before. But we do have a unique Empire list. Alex, what did Spoonbot or Boot, whichever you want to call them, bring that is definitely got some ships we don't see all the time?
Yes, they brought Starter Pack Vader. Fifth Brother with FCS and homing missiles. Still don't like the FCS on that. Who's going to make you roll 4 dice? Second Sister with Malice, Marksmanship, Shield Upgrade, and Sensitive Controls. A very crit-based ship over there. Interesting on the sensitive controls because it is your only interceptor, so you're not forced to take it. And then you have Major Vermeil, or Vermeil if you're French and pronounce it correctly, with Ion Limiter Override, Palpatine, and Targeting Computer. He hits. Vermeil, he hits really well. It's kind of terrifying, but also at 5 points, it's kind of a big ask, honestly. I do like my V1s, and I think they're pretty solid right now. Like Fifth Brother's pretty solid objective monarchy if you need him to be. And Second Sister is dangerous. Just the ability to, if you wanted to, change everything into crits, or just always have crits with Malice and Marksmanship. And then the shield upgrade is pretty helpful for an interceptor. But
yeah, I think that especially when you're running in salvage, she's going to be that crate hunter, right? You're going to use that her ability to actively go out against those crate carriers that are susceptible to crits. Typically, anything that's low agility, just having the ability to regularly modify your dice for crits is going to be really, really good.
This whole list is like crit based too, right? With Fifth Brother and Vader. And Vermeil can shoot last if he wants to. Everyone else is I4, and then Vader's at 6. So make them run through all their tokens first and hit them really hard.
Yep.
All right. Next one is from Black Fry in Utah. Now, I thought James Ritter was from, for some reason, I thought he was overseas, but I guess not, because he's obviously here. But I swear to God, he was lived overseas, and maybe I'm just crazy.
He did at one point live in England, so yeah.
Okay, but while he was on GSP though, right?
I'm not sure, but yeah, I know it for a fact that he at least lived in England at one point.
Okay. Anyway, here we had 7. So they had quite a few at this tournament. They had 7. They had 6 of them were 3-1. One of them was 4-0. And the 4-0 list is, again, just your standard loadout Han, except for with Hopeful, an engine upgrade instead of the chopper. And then Luke, Sabine, and there you go, Leebo. Baby, told you Leebo's coming up.
More false transponder code Leebo.
Yep. I don't know. People love their FTC, I guess. That's just a thing. Is that just a thing? Like, people just really love it.
False transponder codes, rig cargo chute, a plate of trick shot Leebo. Okay.
Sounds like a fun time.
So I think this is an interesting list a little bit. Again, it's like the majority of the lists we've seen before, but with Leebo being new, I think everybody wants to put Leebo on the table. And you got to think there is right now, like with these 2 new ships, there is a little bit of, difference with them. So people got to ask you, what does it do? It's not as easy to plan. Like, everybody knows to some extent what Han's going to do because it's Han, right? Han's either going to get you or going to run away and get you, whichever it is, So I think there's some surprise to Leebo that might kind of benefit him. And like I said, it's a substitute for Chopper, right?
Yeah. Now, in your guys' opinion, do you think when you're making a direct comparison between Leebo and Chopper, what do you guys favor more? Do you favor the regular 4-die attack from Chopper, or do you favor the more utility that you get out of Leebo? What do you guys think?
I am not good at flying VCXs, but I'm very good at flying 2400s. So I would take Leebo over Chopper by default. Customizable versus standard loadout Leebo, I'd have to kind of look at my list, see what I want. But personally, yes, I would rather take Leebo. But that's just because I don't fly VCXs. Not my style.
Why? It's just kind of like a YV666.
I can't do large bases whose blues are the 2 banks.
All right, Alex, what was the runner-up?
Dash Rendar. Or, well, this is 5th, right? Not necessarily runner-up.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Top 3 in one list I care about.
There you go. Dash Rendar with Trick Shot, the Child, the title, Ablative, and FTC again. You got Boy Luke. You got Wedge with Marksmanship Crackshot. That's in the A-Wing. Keo with Concussion Missiles, Lone Wolf. And then Sabine with Beskar. They just hot swapped Lando for Dash. Because that is a very common Han build with all those people. And they're just like, you know what? I'm going to bring 90s Han with Dash Rendar. And then do that instead. But also Dash won this event. Or no, Han won this event, not Dash. So, the Child, I guess, makes sense. FTC makes sense. Trick Shot makes sense. Although, man, expert handling does have a strong case to be on them because that, right, you jump a range band when you barrel roll, so you won't be range 1 anymore if you do it.
Yeah.
And your blues aren't particularly good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Eternal Games in the UK had quite a few people too. Liam took it down with the 4-0 list. Told you, JJ, you should scoop them up. Nobody listens to me. And then Tom Veal came in second. Tom Reed from the Sith Takers, Rick from the Sith Takers, and Richard from the Sith Takers. So this is like a Sith Takers take-all tournament. JJ, what did Liam bring? And he has a very different Von Rick.
Yes. So we got a first order list here. We'll start off first with Kylo Ren in the TIE Whisper with the Jamming Suite, Malice, Sensor Scramblers, Predator, Concussion Missiles, and Munitions Failsafe. Midnight with Swarm Tactics Project Edition, Malorus with cluster missiles instead of the Magpulse, Whirlwind with the jamming suite, optics, cluster missiles, fanatical, and marksmanship, and then Major Von Reg with Magpulse warheads, Daredevil, and Swarm Tactics to round off this list. So this feels more like I would want to say more of a utility Von Reg, because you're basically flying him paired up with Whirlwind for the most part to get the ability off sooner. Whirlwind's ability to get all those extra focus tokens for every ship that's in this firing arc. And that way it can shoot off its ordnance or shoot off a primary shot against an opponent. And then Major Von Reg can help really set up an attack on a particular opponent with Magpulse warheads, being able to do that that after that strain or deplete for a lock onto a ship, and then focus, and then be able to just take that shot against that opponent and hopefully jam them, remove any tokens that they have, and then deplete them to neuter their offense. To help set up the rest of the list to go in after that one particular target that they're trying to take out. So it's definitely a really interesting take on this. It's something different that we haven't seen for most Von Regs as of late. So I do like the synergy for this one.
Also, they have Swarm Tactics on Midnight too, so Whirlwind can be kind of either by them. But I've always liked Magpulse on Von Reg, just because it's an I6 Magpulse, and that's very, very useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's just the Swarm Tactics is weird to me. That's all, I guess. Daredevil is not, but Swarm Tactics,
It's Europe. They love their high initiative I6s. And they can just bring 4 of them in a list, essentially.
I like that, I guess. I don't know. It's very weird to me, I guess. Sorry. It's just whatever. It is. I don't know. My Von Reg usually dies, or I don't run him by anybody to use Swarm Tactics. So I don't know who you're putting by Von Reg, but
the Fanatical and Whirlwind's kind of interesting.
Yeah, usually
you would
just run
expect you to have enough focus tokens, right?
Yeah,
but
sometimes you don't, though, my friend. Sometimes you don't. When you've killed all the other ships, and there's only 1 or 2 left. I mean, that means you only get 1 or 2 focus tokens. Come on, Alex.
I can just take the focus action and then jam them with it too.
I will say, this is similar to the list I've been running, except for I don't run concussion missiles Kylo. I'm a little bit more gutsy and run the Predator and just kind of go the more naked-ish pattern analyzer Kylo, but because I love a 3 sloop, and if you can get that bullseye lined up and you can do a range 2 jam, oh man, that's just like, it just feels so good. And it's just like, yep, middle finger, sorry buddy, sorry, don't mean to do that, sorry. All right, sorry, we gotta keep moving. Alex, what is the Rick Cooper resistance list that I chose to talk about, even though it's probably very similar to a list we've seen before?
So, Rick brought Zori Bliss with Plasma Torch 4-time R4 dorsal. It's probably the most common Zori loadout you see. Got Veniza Doza with marksmanship, barrage rockets, which is also, I see that fairly frequently. You got Jess Pava with M9G8 and Baffle, because you don't want to use her ability more than once a turn. And M9G8 is great. You have Snap Wexley with HLC and R6D8, the Super Predator droid. Then you have Ella with marksmanship, heroic, and HLC. A pretty hard-hitting list with a couple HLCs. You got a bunch of rerolls, or he's throwing double modded plasma torps. And Veniza can barrage rocket out of her ass, and that's funny.
I know, and it's funny because when Corey did not like when I told him to run Veniza. They just thought that was not that good of a 4-point ship, and I'm saying I don't care what anyone says. Like, to me, it's probably not better than Snap. I think Snap is probably better because it's a free boost, but it's still really good, and you can just throw missiles out your butt.
If I'm running Veniza, it's probably because I already took Snapjess and also Elo, so it checks out on this list.
I guess. I don't know. I like it. I like this better than Elo personally, but
I
that's
don't
just
like
my
Elo
opinion.
too much, but
Yeah.
high fives right now. I don't know. I would take it over like Kai Threnali, I guess.
Yes. 100% over Cat. I like Vanessa. I actually think Vanessa Doza is another one of those slept on pilots personally inside of Resistance. And it's nice to see a little bit different lists, right? You know?
I played one in Jackson.
Yeah.
The Veniza Doza could never shoot brush rockets at the butt, though. I was too stressed. Couldn't do anything.
They got to give you those calculates, baby. All right. That is it for our pattern analyzer segment. We're going to wrap the show up by talking about Nova and what you could possibly see as soon as I can find all my notes from it. It's here somewhere. I know for my friends, it is here somewhere. I just don't know where I put it. But essentially, our goal is to kind of do like a meta-analysis preparing for Nova. We're going to look at current meta highlights and touch on what lists and strategies you will see at the upcoming tournament. Now, to do this, so originally JJ had proposed y'all submit some lists, and then we only got like 1 or 2 lists, so we're not going to do that. So y'all, if y'all listen to us on the podcast, you should join the Discord and submit some lists. I know we got listeners out there, so if you do like our show, like interact, give JJ some lists. I had to do JJ's job again because JJ put a segment together and then gave me no information to go on. So I had to build the segment myself from scratch at 8:00 tonight. So I took it a little different direction and I said, hey, what if I look at Pattern Analyzer, our good friend Ike Pear, who built that website? He turned around and said, hey, why don't I give you some more data that you can look at? So I went back and I did not do just the last month. I actually used it and went back since the last points update, which, by the way, as of today, only does recognize all the way back till June. So just as an FYI, this is not the points update from last week, Friday. He has not changed the setting on that. So that is what we are going to look at. So, as you can see, people don't like to submit their lists.
Yeah, maybe.
So there is 480 unknown lists out there.
More than every faction but Rebels.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we could talk about that, right? Because, like, in the statistics, what we would do with that number is we would look at the percent breakdowns for everything else and then take those and attribute those towards those factions. That's technically what we would normally do. Even if that's kind of that's how you would get a base level to where you could look at it. But for this one, I'm not going to ask him to go make a bunch of changes just for me. I should, but I'm not going to ask him to make a bunch of changes. He just had the little Tanner button in there that says, this is the way Tanner wants to see it. So we could just kind of ignore that piece of it, right? Because we know that, logically speaking, we know that they're probably all part of it. I will tell you, I'm extremely shocked to see CIS has had less tournament lists than Scum has. So people really like Scum over
trying.
CIS.
It's the thrill of, can I actually do anything with this hot garbage faction?
Yep. And dare I tell you that we should take CIS and actually have a conversation about list building in CIS, because it almost feels like nobody wants to take them, and I don't remember them being this statistically low. But anyway, so obviously you're going to probably see a lot of Rebels. You're going to see a lot of Empire. Empire, I would imagine, and Rebels will be higher just because you got new ships. And unless they make a decision, I'm pretty sure you're going to see them. I'm wondering if JJ is going to flip-flop and actually run Rebels now that he can run Lebo or Dash, and see if he can get some points scored that way.
Does he want to win?
No, I firmly believe that there are very, very few talented people that can just pick up a list and just do very, very well with it. For me, in my case, I have attempted to do that before. But if I'm playing competitively, I definitely want to be very familiar with the list and give myself plenty of reps, because the number one thing that I find when I'm playing a list that I'm not familiar with is that I'm always forgetting their triggers. And I want to get it to a point where it becomes a muscle memory for me, because when it comes to those crucial turns where you absolutely need that ability to trigger, you need to be able to remember it, because once you get past the chain of abilities that go through and you rush through a game and then you remember it like 7, 8, 9 turns later, it's too late at that point. So yeah, I tend to go with what I've practiced. So yeah.
All right.
I'm also
Well-
assuming you're probably going to see a lot more Republic because that's pretty much on the rise as well.
Yes. Yep. And I think if I had more time, I think we would analyze last month to this month, right? Last month to overall, because I do think there's a difference. I just didn't have the time. I'll be honest with you. This episode was very Tanner intensive. Like there was a lot of work that went into this episode. So I'll be honest with you. I didn't have as much time as I thought I would have, or how about this? I didn't plan enough time to go through, but I think you make a good point, Alex. And I do think maybe in our future, like when we look at PAX, I think PAX is the next large one coming up, correct?
Golden State Games.
Golden
as well.
State.
Yeah.
So when we do our
Crossroads
meta,
as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah. So when we do a meta analysis, I think that's a good point, and I think you all just need to remind me. And I think we should do that. We should say, hey, let's look at the meta from here to here, and then let's look at the meta for the last month and see what the difference is. Again, I don't think we need a graph to do those two. I could just put them side by side, and that would be just fine. So now here's where we talk about faction performance. Faction performance overall, Scum is doing the worst out of all of them. CIS, we have coming in at 49%, but in fairness, CIS, even only being 6.38% of the meta, is doing almost as well as Empire is. Just as a process thought here. And then after that, we have the Republic, and that's the same. Republic comes in almost identical to those other factions. Actually, CIS comes in higher. No, it doesn't. I just can't read because I'm looking at the wrong screen. Anyway,
it's very close. It's very close.
It's all within like less than a point. And then you have First Order, Rebels, and then Rebels, it makes that big jump, to 52%, but Resistance is kicking ass, and that's because of store championships. And this is where we don't have time tonight, because I don't want to spend all night doing this, but we do need to talk about the difference between large tournaments and store championships, because I think I think there's two meta sets here, right? And I think store championship wise, your meta set is different, and I think that's where we're getting the Resistance taking over, because this Resistance has won quite a few store champs now with 5 T70s or 4 T70s and whatever your last 4-point ship is. Now, the difference though is Rebels has higher faction victories than Resistance does. So overall, Resistance is beating the curve, but in raw faction victories, we have Rebels on top. Clearly on top, actually, even over Empire.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's because of Han. So I think if we eliminate Han, that's a different conversation.
Now, I do want to ask this question in terms of the timing for all this, right? Because we do know that during the summer, particularly between July and June, is where we had the majority of store championships, locals, all around the world, where it was summertime. A lot of people are off and are available to go out to tournaments and stuff, and people showed up in mass to go play these games. And at that time, we saw the rise of the Han meta for the Rebellion, and they were pretty much sweeping across the board for the store champs. Now that slowed down, and we're not seeing as many store championships or world qualifiers. We're starting to see more Republic rather, coming in and winning a little more consistently now. Do you think that if given the same amount of time, or at least data with available store championships and stuff, would this be a little more even between Republic and Rebels? What do you guys think?
I think Republic will get teched against, just like how like Han's being teched against right now. I think it'll go out in cycles. But also, you say the Han meta, and that's because of why it's so good. I think it's Boy Luke, the actual backbone of the Rebels, in more lists than Han, is what's
That's fair.
propping up the faction more. Because that
Yeah, that's
is
fair.
possibly the best 5-point chip in the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's just the combo of having Han and the really cheap Luke is what puts him very high up there. But I think that if like you didn't have like a Pistan kind of thing, I still think they'd be doing really well because of Boy Luke.
Yeah.
All right. And then squad size, whatever. We don't have to go over squad size. We all know it's 4 to 5. I like that originally, but now that we're not seeing any variants, whatever. I guess we have seen 4 8-ship lists. So just throwing this out there. 4 8-ship lists. All right, now we're going to look at the compositions real quick. And essentially what I did is I just chose the top 11, right? And so what this is doing is this is taking a look at what are the most common themed things. Now, let me tell you, we're not going to go over it tonight because I just don't have the time, and we're already almost 2 hours in. You can actually click on one of the compositions, and it will give you the breakdowns of some of the compositions with like all the loadout, all of that. It's really cool. Like, so I'm trying not to be super like, hey, go support this guy. But if this guy ever puts a Patreon out, for Christ's sake, we should all be donating to this guy because like I love this web. This is probably my favorite thing out of X-Wing. If I ever get to the point where I have to sell my collection, I will still like to do the analyzation of X-Wing. I just like it that much. So anyway, as you can see, we have the 5 T70s showing up in the number 3 slot. And this is just for what I did with the compositions is I didn't care about win rates. I didn't care about any of that stuff specifically. I just said, how many bloody times has this ship count been taken? And again, I think in the future, we need to look at the difference between the two. But Alex, to answer your question, you can see where the Padme list is number 4 already. Like, that's number 4. I think that's pretty good, right? That's definitely something that we should be like, that's over the course of 2.5 months, 3 months almost. God, it's the end of August, is it?
Yep.
I hate my life. Man, we get old fast, don't we? Anyway, sorry, now I'm sidetracking. Sorry. So this had 207 tournaments, almost 3,000 squads. And out of those 3,000, we are essentially seeing the number 1 combo is a Fang, a YT-1300, an A-Wing, and Luke. Because let's not lie and say it's any other ship than Luke.
Oh, it's also Han and also Fen.
Oh, all right. No, it could be Bodica.
Bodica is significantly less than Fen.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we actually just had my latest episode on Best Bench where we talked about all this kind of stuff, and Fen was a shockingly higher amount than Bodica was.
Wow.
Which was that was kind of weird to me, but I guess it makes sense if you're running 4 ships, you don't want to bring Bodica.
Well, if you're running 4 ships too, right, you don't have to then run Hera specifically to just swarm tactics.
You shouldn't be doing that anyways, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that gives you the option to run Keel anyway. So there you go. The next one is Han, 2 A-Wings, an X-Wing, or Luke, and Sabine. We all know that one. And then 3 T70s. Then the Padme arc list. Then we have Vader and bombers.
Yep.
And then surprisingly enough, we've got either Rey and Poe and 3 T70s. So that's interesting. We have not seen that a lot in locals, maybe just because Corey stopped running it, but
Matt runs his list, actually. It is also almost exactly split between Poe and Rey, which is crazy to me too.
Yeah, because I think Poe's the clear winner in that one. But
I mean, Rey outputs a lot of damage. So like if you have, it's usually like Nan Nub, Elo, and Snap Wexley. So usually it's like if you're going for a lot of damage, Ray fits better. But I mean, Poe's still stupid good. Poe just does whatever he wants.
Yeah, Poe's insanely good value. For anyway, let's move on. Then after that we have Kylo, and then 2 SFs and 2
Blackout.
ties.
Mhm.
Blackout.
Blackout.
How's number 7 Blackout? That's not a silencer.
Yeah, that's a whisper. Sorry, I thought you were talking about another one. My mistake.
No. Number 10 is got Blackout in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which that one's a fun list to run too, by the way.
Sorry,
Except for
the symbols confused me.
I get caught in the trap of when I run Blackout that I like to get the trick shot piece off. Anyway, so you're sidetracking me, buddy. So after that we have another FO list with Von Reg in it. Then we have 2 fire sprays and a rogue, but in Scum. This is Scum. Somehow more people are taking 2 fire sprays and a rogue in Scum than anything else. It has a 60% win rate too.
Yeah, I mean,
think
you
that's-
fit Boba and Koshka and Sturge, right?
I think that's actually messed up. I think it accounts for both CIS and Scum.
Okay, because like
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I have never seen anybody in Scum run that. Like I've not seen that happen ever. Like you could run Dirge Hondo. All right, don't do that. That's not good. Sorry. You gotta keep moving. Keep moving, Chris. The next one is the Blackout Kylo and an SF and 2 ties, and then beating out Nick Sperry squad baby is a Reaper, a Vader, and 3 bombers. Look at that. Look at that. Where's Nick Sperry when you need him? Okay, well that was an earful. So then what I did is I churned it around and put it based on win rate, right? And I figure I can't cross-examine these two per se, like in the same graph. But if you take it and you say, okay, well, what's my win rate here, right? Resistance, this hands down is only 1-4, but the win rate on it is really high. So this one is where I kind of go, I don't know, like if any of these are really a viable discussion piece, because you're sorting by win rate percentage versus ship list unique count. But it's interesting to see up there the HMP, the Rogue, the Fire Spray, and the Grievous.
So the count is games, or is how many times different tournaments? Because I thought it was like games, and someone just went 4-0 at a tournament with that.
No, the count is how many lists have shown up.
Okay.
So it's shown up 4 times. But it has a very high win rate. So I threw this in there because I thought this is interesting because he's whatever. I'm assuming that's Chewie. Is that Chewie?
Yeah,
BB-8?
that's the Chewie. Yeah.
Right? Like that list has a very high win rate. I don't know.
Hold on, that can be Poe or Ray. Like,
Can it?
The 2 T70s are 4 points. With
Okay.
BB-8, that's 10. And then you can put a 3.
Oh yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, good call.
I mean, that's why ironic they replaced it with an A-wing instead of a Y-wing. So
I would too, but all right. So let's skip down to pilots. Here is your pilot by most times taken. Alex, who's the number 1 pilot that you predicted earlier? Because you probably looked at the sheet.
I just did an episode on this, but yes, it is Boy Luke. Higher than Han Solo by 60 counts.
All right. I think you're breaking up there.
3 are rebels. I'm sorry. Boy Luke. Can you hear
Yeah.
me now? Is it working? No?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going
Yeah,
in
there
and
you go.
out.
Sure.
So we have Boy Luke, Han, Sabine, all taking the top spot there. Then not surprising, is Alex's least favorite T70, Elo. But Corey, it'd be great to know Elo is like the fourth most run ship since the points change. That's crazy to me. Over Temin. Who's taking Elo? Corey's. Never mind. It's an I5.
It's
So
an I5,
Literally
man.
everyone. He's in 90% of resistance lists.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like, only I'm bringing that number down.
Yeah, you're the only one saying screw this. I'm not running that.
I have Lulo. I don't need Elo.
Ugh. And then Keo, Tomex, Bren, and I don't think Tomex Bren's going anywhere. Malorus, that's easy. Reimer is a little surprising, but not super surprising. Oddball, obviously. Wedge, Kylo, Vader, Temin, Wolf, Bodica, Jonas, Midnight, Dirge, and the CIS, because why not, right? I think that's a given. Slider, the double fens. I don't know which one is which. I'm assuming the top one is the normal fen. But-
I think the Rebel Fen is brought more than Skunk Fen.
But not by much, right? Just
Right,
by
Yeah, it's
three.
pretty close. Yeah.
That's
But
pretty
also
close,
that's
buddy.
sad.
People love fen, man. I don't know.
Sure. I just like you're trying to build a whole faction around them and you just bring them in Rebels and do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's what Zach's doing now, is bringing them in Rebels because he's pissed off about Skull. So anyway, so the last piece of this, and then we'll wrap up, is just kind of your guys' last thoughts. To me, the strategy is you gotta, if you want to tech against something and you don't want to run, so you have two options. You can run what's popular. You can also run something to tech against those lists. And I don't know if there's something that will tech against both lists. I do know that you could tech against Arcs pretty easily, and you could tech against Han. But doing both in one, I've not seen a list that does that. Your list, all right. Well, JJ, how do you feel about running Alex's list instead for Nova?
Hey, if I get my invite, it's not gonna happen for Nova, hell no. But if I get my invite, I will definitely actually run Alex's list. There is a store championship happening in South Carolina that I'm probably gonna go to, which is gonna be the following weekend. So hey, I mean, if I get my invite, I'm probably bringing Alex's list with me.
So I think you have to run it at a big tournament, though. Like, we got to test this. Does Alex's list do well enough at a big tournament to tech against the top two lists that we're seeing?
You know, it's really funny. Arcs giving themselves red tokens that you can just use to hit them harder.
Yes, exactly. That's actually really good. Yeah, that Born for Disability, just working against them is really great. Actually, I like that a lot.
Same if they recharge R2D2 because you can
Mhm.
just spend their weapons as able. You can double stress Han. It's,
Yeah, it's really nice.
I built that list for
Yeah.
a reason, but
So-
don't run it. It's not good.
But ultimately, when you're looking at all this data, if you're a newer player who is feels daunted by the vast amount of information that you're seeing here by different lists and different pilots and stuff like that, ultimately it always boils down to the pilot, right? Because if you give yourself time, if you dedicate yourself to your list, learn how to play it and adjust your strategy against other lists. Yes, sometimes you're always going to be paired against something that is a hard counter to your list, but you can still pull out a win if you're confident in your flying and you know the risk and know the strengths and weaknesses of your list and kind of pilot around that to make sure that you can give yourself the best advantage. You never know. You can always pull out a win from what it seems to be an unwinnable situation, and it's always down to you to overcome those difficulties. If you find that another list that's across you joust better, then don't joust that list. Go and do objectives. Bring them in through the fold and take them apart little by little if you need to. If you find a list that doesn't joust well and they lined up somebody against you, go take out that ship, eliminate ships from the board, and then take care of the rest and adjust your game from there. Always try to adjust your play style as you go through, and you never know, you might make it to the top.
Alex, what's your last thoughts on prepping for Nova based on what we've kind of seen? Are you the guy that texts against things? Well, probably you don't do that.
No, I'm the guy who brings something completely out of left field and goes, 2 and 2 with it. No, for like a large tournament like this, you just have to know the field. You have to understand what Han lists can do. If you expect a lot of Han lists, if you expect 5T70s, you have to try to plot out what can you do against 5T70s. Can you output enough damage to kill a T70 in a round, or do you have to like endure them and then grind them down, kind of thing? So it's more just look at the field, see what's doing well, try to think if people are going to bring a lot of these Padme lists. If you're going to do that, maybe tech against that a little bit better. Bring something that hits harder, more spike damage. Or if you think there's going to be a lot more Han lists, then bring something that's good at blocking and that can, clog up the space so you can't maneuver, so you can bring them down. Really just kind of look at it. I mean, like bombers, maybe bring things with low that don't depend on defense dice for their saturation salvo. Like, I have a YV. I don't particularly care one way or another if you force me to reroll my die. But if I'm bringing Soon Tier, I don't want to be anywhere near that. Or like Sun Fox, I don't want to be anywhere near saturation salvo anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Saturation salvo murders Sun Fox. So it just does. It does. It's not fun.
Yeah, so you just gotta kind of look at the field, generalize what you think, and then see if maybe you can bring a list that happens to be good against X-Wings in general. So you're good against Boy Luke and good against 5T70s. Or something that's good at blocking,
Yeah. So what I will tell you is if you're in it to win the whole thing and that's all you really want to do, then there's not a real reason to run what you love. So run what you can tech against, right? Because that's what you need to do if that's what you want to do. To me, I don't do that. I run Separatists, right? So that's just my thing. I like Separatists a lot. I have ran some Rebels and some First Order and stuff like that. I just wanted to me, the big thing becomes is you just have to make a decision if you really want to do that or not. I would tell you to run things that you love more than things that are gonna are tech against. And I will say, like, I have been thinking of swerving a little bit out of Separatists for Store Champs, but it's just because I've spent a year and a half playing only Separatists, so I'm a little bored, to be honest with you. So for me, it's more of a I want to switch something than anything else. But those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, normally I'd switch to something really janky after winning a Store Champ, but I don't think anything's more janky than when I won the Store Champ list with. So I have to pivot to something semi-playable.
Something semi-playable. All right. Well, next week we will be covering Nova. JJ, will you be back in time to tell us your Nova story?
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be traveling that night, coming back in. So I don't know if I'll make it back in time. But I'll definitely let you know as it develops.
All right. Want to do an Ahsoka recap?
Not tonight, but yeah, definitely we got to get together and do that.
You're killing me. Killing me here, Smalls. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Next week, we will probably only be covering Nova. If you liked any of the segments, let us know. I mean, if you liked the segments and you want us to do more of the roll call stuff, let us know. We could also go back and pivot to our discussion on... we had a discussion going about... pilots and kind of ranking them based on scenarios. We could go back and add some more of those. That was kind of a fun segment. I'm kind of getting sick of Store Champs only because it feels like we're getting like the exact same ones over and over again, So I don't know.
Yeah.
But exciting announcement. Next week, I will be displaying the stuff that we are buying for our Patreons and for people that want to support the show. So we will be doing a card reveal and a token reveal next week. I should have done it a couple weeks ago. I have not. We will be doing those as I have started to submit my orders for those. Sorry, with the stuff with the cancer stuff with the kid has just really eaten up a lot of time for that. So I just haven't had as much time as I thought I originally would have. As for that, the next part of the segments that we'll be doing is we will be looking at each individual scenario over the course. It will not be starting next week, but the next one we're going to be doing is tackling and redoing our discussion points on each of the different scenarios, how the factions work with them, some of the logic behind what each of the different scenarios provides, and how you can maximize your stuff for each scenario. Now, with that being said, thank you all. Have a good night, and we will see you on the Flippity Flop.